So we're doing this campaign because, each year we try to celebrate Black History Month in some really special way. Our history is so rich and our culture is so rich, but right now I think it's especially important because right now is that time where everyone is looking to capitalize on Black and brown people's dollars. So just reminding our audience that we're here for them, that we are them, that we know the journey, and that we're looking ahead for a bright future is the goal of this campaign.
With Rosa Parks and her legacy, she set the standard for a lot of things, like, just ending segregation, and she was a big part of the civil rights movement, so that speaks volumes, like today.
I tried to channel Harriet Tubman in today's shoot by thinking about her strength and how I am strong. I looked at her image often just to see the presence that she had, and for me, I bring that same presence to a room, embody the same strength, I believe, and then also the courage and bravery to just fight against the opposition, knowing what's right, and knowing that I'm worth more than that. So I think that Harriet had the same ideas in bringing slaves to freedom, knowing and being conscious enough to say, this area is not safe, or even America itself at the time wasn't safe, so we got to cross this border to just deliver you to what I know is right for you. And so that's what I channel. Continue to look at that photo, continue to see her presence, her strength, her courage, and her resilience.
If I had to put all of these women in a lit bar shade, I would put Harriet in rebel, because she was a rebel with a cause. Like, she was murking people, period. She was out here like, look, are you trying to go to the promised land, or are you trying to ruin it for all of us? So she was the rebel. Yeah, I just wish I could know her right now. Rosa Parks, we put her in class act because duh, like, she didn't even make a fuss about her experiences, but she knew that her experience wasn't a deserved one. So she just handled the entire situation with such class. So she's a class act. And then Angela Davis is Miss Independent. She was educated. She came from a completely different world and decided to carve out her own lane and start fighting for things like prison reform and joining the Black Panther Party. So she was that independent woman that we all look to and admire.
Growing up in school, I would always find ways to educate myself. Like, I would read books about people and like what they did, and just try to see like how to implement that in my life, as far as like, okay, what lessons have they learned and how can I apply it to my daily life? So it could be like something little, or I can create goals for myself, like how do I want to make a difference as a person of color.
I typically celebrate Black History Month by learning about an African American that I don't know yet. So just educating myself on my ancestors and learning about where I possibly came from, or learning about those around me. Like, I'm in Detroit, so for me it's a big thing to learn about the Black Bottom, or how did African Americans come from not having much to, being Pulitzer Prize winners, or being amazing authors, or amazing architects. So just learning about those that have come before me.
I feel like I take on more of the action aspect. Just like the subtle of just saying no, to refuse a seat. Like, obviously if something's wrong, like, I want my voice to be heard. Like, I just don't let it slide. I want something to be done about it and be more proactive. So I would say I'm more on the Malcolm approach, but not as like extreme, to a certain extent where it makes sense. But I don't know, what she did was very courageous, and especially like during her time, it's a lot,
For this particular campaign, I selected Rosa Parks because, I'm from Detroit, like, how could I not pick Rosa Parks? And so she was largely like that face of the civil rights movement. it was like that initial bus boycott that led to the march in Selma. So Rosa was just like a non-starter for us. And then Harriet Tubman and Angela Davis, I picked both of them for very similar reasons. Like, they're fighters, and I'm such a fighter. Sometimes to a fault, but like, those are the women that I look up to, the women who are consistently fighting not only for themselves, but for their community. And so I appreciate them, I admire them, and I thank them.
So the color I'm wearing for Harriet is Rebel. And the name speaks volumes. The color, the shade is bold, which that was Harriet, and I do relate to that. The name Rebel, or being rebellious, fighting against what someone says you should be or should not be, and showing and proving that you are worthy of what it is that you set for, or that you want to become, or what you know that everyone else should have. So Rebel in the color, the bold, the presence, the willpower to push through. That's what Rebel in this shade, I think, represents. To come into a space and without opening your mouth, you still show up. I think that's what Rebel is.
I think it's super important to highlight Black women at all times, not just Black History Month, but this is one of those instances where it's like, you know, what better time to like look at all of the heroines that came before us and really just like be grateful for the path that they've let out for us. So I think about Madam C.J. Walker often, and it was hard for me not to choose her for this campaign, but like I've recreated images of her like in our first office in the bathroom, and so it's like these women, they really set the tone. Like, without these women, we wouldn't be able to be the giants that we are today. And so it just brings me such great pride and joy to like use the platform that I have to share their messages just a little bit more.